Hello, everybody, and welcome back to ZakIsCinema. Yes, welcome to the home to talk about movies. Yes, because if you find yourself just struggling to find someone to talk to about all the movies you're seeing throughout this summer movie season or even last summer movie season, well, look at you, buddy, because now you have found somebody, okay? So if you found yourself struggling, well, you don't need to worry anymore. You're welcome. But yeah, today we're going to be doing another movie review, so let's just hop right into it. Today we're going to be reviewing and discussing the movie I Know What You Did Last Summer, which came out in 1997. For director, we got Jim Gillespie, and writer is Kevin Williamson. Starring in the movie, we got Jennifer Love Hewitt, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Ryan Phillippe, and Freddie Prinze Jr. So as we hop into the review and discussion for I Know What You Did Last Summer, obviously we have its sequel, reboot, legacy sequel, I'm not really sure what it is, coming out here in a couple days. So I've never seen this movie before and I always heard about it, always wanted to check it out, and I thought, hey, what better day and time to check this movie out before our new one comes out. I'm not really looking forward to the new one. The trailers just seem kind of and just seem like a slasher we've really gotten a lot of recently, especially it being a legacy sequel. But still, I was curious to check this one out because this movie definitely has its fans, but I feel like overall I've really just heard it being a lesser ripoff almost of Scream. Like, it came out around that time and I feel like it got kind of overlooked and kind of gained this following a little bit, and that's why we have our new one coming out. So I'm very, very new to this movie, this franchise, so I thought we'd check this out together here. So let's jump into the review section, starting with the positives or just the things that I really enjoyed about this movie. So first, I'm really happy that I went into this movie hearing about what the movie is, but not really knowing anything about it, because I think one of the biggest positives of this movie is its inciting incident we get. A bunch of high schoolers are out late after a party, driving drunk, acting stupid, and accidentally hit and kill someone in the middle of the road when they're driving in the middle of the night. And it leads to this very interesting conversation and debate of a bunch of panicked teenagers in the middle of the street trying to figure out like what they should do. What should they tell someone? Should we just dump the body here, keep it a secret? And you kind of get a bunch of different perspectives and different responses from all of our different characters that I just thought was really interesting here. And this inciting incident also kind of helps establish our main final girl of Julie, because she's the one that doesn't fully agree with what they decide to do, initially fights against what the group wants to do, which is dumping the body, getting rid of it, and taking the secret to their graves. So she feels a little bit more complicated about it, so she immediately kind of stands out a little bit more as at least slightly, we'll get into it, slightly more enjoyable of a character to follow, at least out of our group here. And speaking of the inciting incident, I really think it's just one of those cool movie moments where it really throws you into a situation that makes you question and think about, what would I do in a situation like this? And this movie's very over the top, but I like how that inciting incident and all the different characters we get, all their different responses and their panicked, not thought through responses, because you could really see a group of kids getting into a fucked up situation like this, and all the different people in the situation kind of responding a little bit differently. Like, you could see where they'd kind of gaslight themselves into thinking the decision they made is the best one, but still just feeling awful about it. So it kind of makes you think like, oh shit, like what if this happened to me? And it just kind of throws you right in there. And I think a movie like this does a great job at just throwing that right in the beginning. So it just kind of gets you more invested throughout the rest of the movie here. And for the most part, I would say this movie has kind of at times, like the times they do it, this funny, dark sense of humor about it with its scenarios and situations. When they find out when they first hit the dude and then go to dump the body that he's still alive, and then he grabs Helen's crown or tiara that she's wearing, and as she's checking for his ID because they want to find out who they just killed, finds out that he's still alive, and he goes into the water but grabs the tiara after her, or grabs the tiara off of her, and her boyfriend Barry just like looks up into the sky and starts like screaming with frustration after he then goes in and tries to get the crown. Like just that frustration of like, fuck, like we were so close and now I gotta go get my girlfriend's tiara because I know she's gonna bitch about it, sort of thing. Situations like that were pretty funny to me, and then if anything, I just wish they had more things like that with like the reactions and situational humor. And one thing that kind of surprised me about this movie is it's not your typical slasher movie. It is, but at the same time, it like kind of isn't. It's definitely feeling a little bit different just because of the inciting incident, where this movie almost turns into a low body count movie that's more of a mystery and revenge story. Just we're kind of getting the perspectives of the people who set this person off on the revenge quest. So it's an interesting kind of change in perspectives, different type of how I see it as this revenge story, because the fisherman slasher guy is really going on this revenge quest because of the inciting incident, but we're just seeing it from those characters' perspectives. So I thought that was kind of cool and interesting. It's like if these characters ran over John Wick's dog, like then we're just like focusing on these characters, but you would want to see John Wick come back and massacre all these kids. So I just thought that was really cool and something that I wasn't really expecting. Jumping off that, I like how in this non-traditional slasher movie, the slasher villain in here isn't necessarily just going one by one picking off these groups of kids here, but instead tries to mess around and fuck with all of them. Like he drives a car into Barry but doesn't kill him. He messes with Helen in her sleep and chops off some of her hair. He leaves Max's dead body in the trunk of Julie's car and then removes it to make her feel like she's losing her mind. So I like that we get some slasher elements in here, especially later on, but throughout the movie it's more of that mystery revenge plot, and we're just kind of changing perspectives a little bit. And like I've kind of hinted at, I think this inciting incident sets up a great mystery where even if the whole movie doesn't work for you, you're, at least to me, I was definitely invested. I wanted to watch until the end here just to see what's going on and what's going to be revealed. So let's jump into my mixed aspects for this movie. And first, I do like the whole fisherman town and fisherman tone and vibe and with the fisherman killer, I guess you could say, in the movie. I think it's a cool setting. I think the fisherman, even though he's just in this rain suit coat jacket thing, like they could have made him look cooler, but I think he's still unique enough, and that hook looks really cool. But it's in my mixed here, especially towards the third act when the final battle is kind of happening on the boat and everything. I just wish that the killer utilized that fisherman setting a little bit more. Like he should have been tying up people in fisherman nets, like used a boat to run over people, like make it more of a fisherman tone throughout. But instead he just kind of like holds onto his hook and just slashes people. So I like aspects, and I definitely don't like aspects in this. And it's definitely frustrating because I enjoy the twist of who and why the villain is the way that he is. In the movie, the teens originally thought they hit a guy named David, and it turns out that the real fisherman killer, Ben, had actually just killed David. So when the teens hit Ben, they actually find out that they interrupted him in disposing the body. So it's very interesting here. So Ben is the killer, and he's getting revenge on these teens for kind of covering up and hitting him with their car, even though they didn't really know who he was to begin with here. So I like how this movie kind of twists the standard slasher cliche of it being someone involved in these characters' personal lives to where it like switches to where they thought that was the case, but then it switches to be someone unrelated that they had no idea was even involved in this situation. So I thought that was really unique, really, really cool and captivating. But they failed to do all that much with the fisherman killer Ben, making him more iconic or interesting or even memorable. Like the third act just turns into some creepy old dude taking off his hat, just trying to chase them around a bit. And like I said, with the fisherman hook, just slashing them like it's a knife or something, which I don't even think they'd work the same. So thought that was a bit of a missed opportunity, unfortunately, just given its great twist and reveals. But let's jump into my negatives or the things that I just didn't really like about this movie. So first, I think the biggest negative here, unfortunately, is our main group of characters. Already within 5 minutes, I just had no attachment and kind of hated these groups of characters, unfortunately. Like, they're all at this graduation party, and the character, the creepy dude of Max, I think it is, that ends up in the trunk later on, is like hitting on Julie, asking her out, and then Julie's group of friends and boyfriend comes and just starts like pushing him and bullying this character, even though he's being very polite, a little weird and creepy, but they all just kind of push him, and even Julie doesn't really try to stop them or stand up for Max here. I think it sets them up to be a bunch of douchebags, so when they're in this predicament, I really wish there was at least like half the group were really likable and good people, and then you could have the contrasting other kids that are shitbags. So I think it would add a little bit more to that story and inciting incident here. And speaking of that, with the character of Max, like obviously they did that to set him up as a red herring, but I think they do that a couple times in the movie with some pretty obvious red herrings. Like I said, they try to set up Max, but that's way too obvious. They try to set up that other woman that they go out and find that is related to the guy that ended up dying, David, I believe his name is. And, it's obviously not her. You're thinking she might be involved somehow, but that's an unnecessary red herring or just not very well done here. And they try to set up Ray's character as a red herring as well, but it just turns out he was secretly going behind the group's back, trying to figure out this situation to hopefully win Julie back, but by doing so, he looks so suspicious and looked like the prime suspect. But it makes no sense why he wouldn't just talk to the group about what he was doing or the plans, especially after they started questioning him. You think he'd just kind of come forward and be honest, because it just makes no sense if he's trying to win Julie back. Wouldn't you want to discuss this with the group so you guys could all spend more time together, and then even you and Julie can go off and do your own mystery searching, and you get more of a chance to talk with her and show that you're trying to be a better person. Like, it makes no sense for him to isolate himself more away from Julie because he wants Julie back. So again, just setting up red herrings that just go nowhere and don't really make a lot of sense here, unfortunately. And it was pretty disappointing to me that, yes, even though it's not the traditional slasher, it still is rated R, and we do have a killer on the loose here. And I thought we would get some better killings or something a little bit more gory, or at least like creative kills. But he, like I said, he just kind of slashes his hook around, thinks it works the same as a knife. There's really only one slightly graphic scene when he's like holding someone or like carrying someone with the hook, and you see it for like 3-4 seconds, and I'm like, oh, like that's it. Like it felt like a very PG-13 horror movie, so it's weird that they went for the rated R and really didn't go for that. So I thought that was a little disappointing. And overall, I would say I did really, despite my negatives, enjoy the movie, and I think it was much better than I was anticipating and much better than most people really give it credit for. However, I think this movie lacks a significant tone. Besides the inciting incident, the movie really never goes full dark, and then it never goes full self-aware comedy, so it just kind of, at points, it may try to go a little self-aware but doesn't stick with it, tries to maybe set up something a little bit darker but doesn't go for it. So it's just like kind of comfortably in the middle. It lacks some energy, lacks some real intensity here. So I just kind of wish they picked a side. Like, do you want to be a fun over-the-top slasher or a dark and gritty one, and just not so much in the middle? Because I think that was a missed opportunity, and you know, probably why this movie never really succeeded on the levels like Scream really did. But despite all that, I would still say overall, I think this movie surprised me a bit and a little bit better than I initially thought it would be. It's a mixed movie for me that kind of struggles to have a killer that stands out and is truly memorable. However, I found myself having a good time watching until the end, invested in the story and wanting to see what happens and how it plays out, which I think is one of the most important things in any movie here. So for my rating for this movie is, to me, it's one of those really great 2.5, 3 stars out of 5 movies where I wouldn't mind owning it, because I could see me just, you know, watching it, casually watching it, or sitting down to watch it too. But I think I'd really look to own this if I could only find it at a pretty steep discount. Like, I'm not gonna go out of my way to try and own this or anything, but if I saw it for a couple dollars, I definitely would. But to me, it's definitely a really great streaming movie. So, like, definitely one of those movies I 100% would stream again and just have on, especially if nobody's seen it and I wanted to watch it. So you guys have my thoughts here on I Know What You Did Last Summer. Let me know down below what you think of this movie. Did you watch it when it first came out? Did you discover it later? Have you always been a big fan of it? What's your thoughts and feelings on that? Are you looking forward to the new one? I'm very curious on if that'll be any good. I feel so bad that it's sandwiched in between Jurassic World, Superman, and then Fantastic Four. Like, I have a feeling it is gonna absolutely bomb, but I'll check it out here. So let me know your thoughts and feelings for the new one here. And yeah, I appreciate anybody watching, so thank you so much. And yeah, look forward to more ZakIsCinema coming very soon.